Clock in, clock in. Black Gotta just walked in. Team Black Gotta stand up, man. Yeah. Right now we about to get into another video, and this is actually an important video because everybody been paying attention to what's been going on my channel. I've been letting you guys know what I've been going through, so if you want to know what I've been going through, go to Black Gotti Convos. It's gonna be right here. I already been telling y'all to go sub, and I appreciate everybody who been going to sub and actually praying with me and stuff like that, helping me get through the situation. But right here, who I got to the right of me is not only a close friend, not only a close relative, this is actually a pastor. Introduce yourself.
Well, this is Bishop Ben, and I've been pastoring now for just a little over 2 decades, and I thank God for the opportunity.
We got Pastor Ben in the building, and you guys already know what's going on. I am a high believer of Jesus Christ, you guys. I'm finna let Ben give me some pointers right now, and if you are interested in doing the same thing that I am doing, you would be excited to hear these pointers. You feel me? Just like a little cheat code I'm giving you. If you don't know what you want to do, you're going to find out what you want to do right now during this video. And all y'all that said y'all riding with me through this process, I better see y'all in the chat session. You feel me? I'm looking at the chat session right now. Y'all listen up. And I'm actually put his links in the description below so y'all could go check him out and, you know, stay on point, because that's what I'm gonna do. After he leaves here today, I'm actually gonna stay on point and I'm gonna follow, because I spoke to him not only on camera, but I spoke to him off of camera, and man, he touched me, man. He touched me a lot, you guys. But right now, I'm finna ask some life questions, you know, off of what's going on in the world right now. I'm pretty sure everybody see what's going on, and a lot of y'all been asking me to put my input on what's going on, and to be honest, I'm not even on that level yet to actually put my whole input on what's going on, because I am confused, guys. I am lost. I see fires. I see smoke. I see all type of stuff. Now, me personally, I feel like a lot of the negativity is not the answer, but hey, what else is there to do? You know? Half of me is like, nah, they wrong, and the other half of me is like, they might just be right, you know? It might just be that time to fight back, you know? And I actually wanted to get a positive response to how I feel about the whole situation. So I got a question for you, Ben. How do you feel about what's going on in life today?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, what's going on in life, it's a unique time, it's an interesting time, but it's not necessarily new. And what we're seeing is a lot of people who are trying to express something that is more internal. Yeah. And they're trying to find answers just like you and I. And I think that we're probably just as qualified as anyone else to give our opinion on what's going on, because when we talk about the black experience, you've probably had your experiences as a black man. So have I, as a black man, have had my own personal experiences. And I think for many of us that our experiences, it tends to be, we go through it in silos as individuals, and what we're seeing now is collectively, you know, people are coming together and say, hey, you know, I'm going through something similar that you're going through, and the next person is saying that we're going through something similar, so let's express ourselves. Sure. And you know, it's interesting that you started off as, you know, I'm going through a process, and that process of finding Jesus, of really more looking for answers. I'm looking to be whole in a sense. Definitely. And I think everyone has a desire to be whole, but part of that being whole is sometimes it requires a level of validation, a level of acceptance. You know, I was sharing a personal experience with my wife and at the church. I believe at the time I was about 16 years old, which was legal age in Florida to work, and I'd just come out of work.
I think the legal age is lower now.
Is it lower now?
Yeah, I think it's lower. I think it's like 14.
14, yeah. Just about. But at the time I was about 16 years old when I was coming from work. And I found myself late at night going through a neighborhood which I wasn't necessarily expected to go through.
You weren't supposed to be there.
And while I was walking home, for the first time in my life, I had myself looking down the barrel of a gun at cops, cruisers, and I'm asking myself, what did I do that I'm getting this kind of attention negatively? You know, otherwise I'm working.
It was by the cops?
It was by the cops. I was in the neighborhood, And, we'll talk about, our own experiences as a black man, meaning that it's always personal. And then you realize that there are many people who are going through similar situations.
Same situation.
But it's what the cop said to me that really had me thinking all of these years and kind of wondering, what does that mean? And I chose to do something that was unexpected. Because the cop said to me, you have to understand, young man, you fit the description. And I think there are many people, unfortunately, who go through life fitting a description based on a standard that someone else has set for them, right? And I realized that I wasn't going to fit anybody's description.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you like me or not. Listen, we go through life and we realize that you're going to find people who don't like you.
For no
whether
reason.
they're black, whether they're white, whatever it is. But the description that we fit, the standards by which we hold ourselves, it should not be coming from something that is external, but more, I tell someone now that I identify myself as a believer in Jesus Christ, that I am, that I'm a father, that I'm a husband, and all of these things, and that's the description that I fit.
Exactly.
And so it doesn't necessarily matter the description that someone else has for me, but what description that I have for myself, right? And, for my wife and I, we have kind of gone back and forth because we have children. Of course, we've all had our fears as to, what will happen, if they experience some kind of prejudice at the hand of someone else, if they are looked down upon in any way. And I often tell my children that I believe that as a people, especially in the black community, some of our challenges that we lack representation, right? If you go back to the Boston Tea Party, I'm just going to use that as an example. And they were fighting that, hey, don't tax us if we don't have representation. The problem is, if we go through a lot of our neighborhoods, typically the people who are in charge don't look like you and I. If we look at the police stations, our chiefs don't necessarily look like you and I. People who are the mayors and so on and so forth. And because we don't have representation, we find that it's over and over again, we're fitting a description based on what someone else has said for us. But we don't realize that the solution is not necessarily the rioting, but it's getting more representation. Hey, if you want my tax dollars on a local level, if you want my tax dollars on a federal level, on a state level, then I need to start seeing people who look like me, people who understand, people who have gone through some of my experiences, people who are going to hopefully make decisions that don't necessarily view me as being an enemy, view me as being something that is negative based on my black skin, but people who have gone through my experiences and they see that, I'm just like another guy who is trying to live and get my piece of the American dream.
Get my spot on earth. And that's what everybody basically is trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you say you feel like the rioting is not necessarily, the way to go, but
there's a difference between rioting and protesting. And when I say there's a huge difference, right? Because a lot of the time with rioting is that we don't think about the same people that we're fighting for are the people that we're destroying.
We're hurting them.
Right? Because look at a lot
That's what I was thinking too. That's why I'm half and half.
Yeah, because when we think about the communities in which we're rioting, and again, I'm not saying that rioting is okay in any community, but I'm saying look at the communities that we're having riots. These are the same communities that we live in.
Yeah, the same store we gotta go to.
Same stores you gotta go through when it's all said and done, and you realize that we done burned it to the ground, and there's nothing left. And you think about those guys who were trying to get their own spot on earth, and now because of everything that has happened, they're left. And believe it or not, they may not necessarily have the standing behind the multitude as a George Floyd, but he said, but what about me? Who I'm trying to get my position, but I'm just a casualty of war, and that's all it is to my life. That is all it is to my existence. So I think we kind of need to revisit it. And when I think about the likes of, let's say, Martin Luther King, he did protests.
Yeah. That was one of the strongest protests.
But think about the approach. The approach was, hey, you know what? I'm not just protesting for the now, but he's thinking about more in the future.
Yeah.
Because if I fit the description based on what you have said for me, the description there is that these are a bunch of savages. You think about, some of the experiences that we have as black men, like, people fearing us and things of that nature. And then we'll go out and do something to have them fear us even more. But you haven't really changed the perception of the people that you're trying to change. And that's like, you know what, I need you to accept me as an equal. I need you to see me as a person and not as a savage, not as somebody that you need to fear, in a sense, right? So when we talk about protesting, I think it's important that every voice that we go out, not necessarily just going to the polling booth, but I think a lot of times, and you and I, we've had this discussion, a lot of times it starts with people like us, you know, who sometimes don't think that we have a voice. People that we emulate, people that we idolize, you know, again, sometimes it's a lot of our artists who come out of the hoods, who come out of the neighborhoods, people who have made it up. Unfortunately, the challenge there is that a lot of these guys don't come back to say, hey, little man, you can do it as well. You can have a better life. You can have successes that are beyond what you see around you, right? Sure. And I think those challenges are things that we need to tackle on, whether it's through your podcast or, you know, in any other means that we have, people who are talking positively, people who are giving hope and inspiration to a younger generation, as Martin Luther was doing. He was giving hope. Hey, you know what? I'm going to take this head on. I'm going to take the rejection. I'm going to take people spitting on me. I'm going to take people even beating on me. I'm going to take it all because guess what? I look at a future generation. I look at my children and I see that better is possible for them. That if I can instill in them that you too can be great. You can do something that's going to change the mindset of people. And you'll begin to see little by little that we become the very solution to the problems that we see around us. Because a lot of times, you know, I think I had brought up something to you. It was the other day I was listening to, I don't know if it was a podcast, I don't want to put any words in anyone's mouth, but I think it was an artist who said something like that typically when it comes to hip hop and rap, that a lot of the artists, what they do is that they talk about their life experiences, that if you change their neighborhoods, they talk about their environment. If you change their environment, then they will change their lyrics. But here's the challenge. Who's going to change their environment? If it doesn't start with the likes of you, with the likes of me, with the likes of them, with people who can see better, right? There's a saying that if you knew better, then you can do better. Then that tells me that education is very important. What we know, what we instill in one another, the values by which we go about living our lives and passing it on to the next generation, that it's important to educate ourselves. Bob Marley, if you would suffer me to say it, you know, he uses an expression, you know, you must free yourself from mental slavery, right? There are many times that when we talk about the physical aspect of things, that we can win physically, but lose psychologically. And I think that we have lost quite a bit over the years psychologically.
Yeah, mentally.
Mentally, because we're waiting, we're fighting for things that unfortunately, the very way that we go about fighting, that it wears us out.
Yeah.
It puts us in a box, as opposed to getting in there and saying that, you know what, we need better schools.
But at the moment, we feel like we're winning though, you know?
But are we really winning?
Yeah, at the end of the day.
You think about it at the end of the day, right? Now, you and I, we share a history, of course, we're family. You know, we're from Haiti. And I think I was sharing with you that, you know, when I was in school, I decided I was going to do some research on the history of Haiti. Yeah. And I tell you, it's amazing to see that America, just about 1776, is getting their independence, going through that process. Haiti, 1804, January 1st. Sure. So we're talking about a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
But here's the problem. That wherein the way they went about getting independence is that they burned a lot of things to the ground. And after they were done and they were victorious physically, they called the very people that they just beat and said, hey, you know what, we want you to come back.
We need your help.
We need you to build our schools. We need you to set for us a curriculum, how we're going to teach our kids. We need your help and everything else, right? And during that process, the French, they're coming back. Do you really think they're coming back with the best intentions?
No.
That they're going to put together the best system in place for you? Absolutely not. They put something in place to keep you what? In mental slavery. You go to Haiti right now, probably one of the greatest challenges you find, that in order for you to be considered civilized or educated, you have to speak French, right? That's by standard. Because who taught your school system? Who put in place the very system that you have right now as to how you're going to view one another? Well, the very people, the very country that you just defeated, that you just beat. So if you're looking to be victorious, you can't call in It's like calling with the Fox now to put the security together for the hen house, right?
Yeah.
So the truth of it is that we need to figure out, as a people, what we're going to set in place, and what is it going to look like, and a part of that is, who's going to be instrumental in that process. And I think it starts with, like I said, people like you, people like me, and I believe for myself, what has helped me with a lot of the anger that I've felt over the years, especially things that I've gone through, is really the relationship that I can say in my searching in that process, that becoming a Christian was probably the most freeing experience that I went through. And having gone through that experience, it put me in a place now where I don't see myself as a victim, but I see myself from a position of, like I said, that no man defines what description I'm going to fit. But I realize, and I do believe, that I'm wonderfully and fearfully made by God, and that I have purpose. And my purpose, it may not necessarily, as sometimes we think about doing something grand, that it's about changing the whole world in once.
Yeah.
But what about changing the world of the one person?
Yeah.
And letting that now have an effect where from that one change, that person changes another, and that another changes another, and you begin to set in motion somewhat of a revolution in a sense, right? Because you're changing the life of the one individual, and that individual goes on to change the life of another, and then it goes on and on and on and on until you have impacted a great change.
So it starts with that one person?
It starts with that one person, I believe, But it starts first with you as an individual being whole, right? Because if you believe that you're less, if you don't necessarily believe that you have anything to offer, if you don't believe that your life has meaning, that no matter where you are, that your voice is important, that your experience, that it has value in it, because believe it or not, everything that you've gone through, the culmination of it has brought you to where you are right now. And I'll tell you, I thank God for you in particular that, again, in what you're doing, because I truly believe that everyone is always looking for inspiration, that everyone's looking to connect. And wherever it's positive, the Bible even talks about, meditating on those things that are positive, those things that have meaning of what you're hoping for, and not those things that are destructive. And anything that helps you to build up, to build yourself up, to help you feel motivated, I believe is a good in the community and, the world at large. And so I would say that, continue in what you're doing. But there's others who are tuned in right now who must feel equally that, hey, you know what, my voice is important. And I need to be a voice of change. And I don't necessarily need to have a big microphone to do it. Sure. That I can change the life of an individual.
That's definite, man. Starts with that one person. I honestly agree with that. After hearing all of that, I do agree with that. And I feel the same way because, you change, your homeboy might end up changing. Your homeboy changed, his homeboy finna change. Now, I'm in the process of doing what I'm doing, and hopefully a lot of y'all do follow, Hopefully a lot of y'all do, and that's why I'm doing that, because I look at y'all as family. Without y'all, I would probably still be in a horrible position, So I'm very thankful. And I would be real selfish to be on the better things and not try to drag a couple of y'all with me, for sure. Mm-hmm. And what we were just talking about leads me to the next question. Mm-hmm. And it's, how can it affect the future of Black lives? What's going on? We just spoke about what's going on, how you feel about what's going on. Mm-hmm. I'm still in the 50-50 boat, Mm-hmm. I still feel like, he just hit up Lil Chris. Now you gotta get back. You gotta burn down a couple buildings, make them feel you. The other half of me is like, damn.
What if it's your building?
Exactly. Same thing you just said. That might be Lil Lily's. We gotta go get some bread from the store. We can't even go get bread no more. Now we gotta go on the other side of town to get bread where I don't even live, and they still living good over here, Mm-hmm. So, question is basically, how can it affect the future for us Black lives? Because we saying, it might be working right now. Everybody feel like it's working, but is it really working? Can it really work? Is it possible to actually work?
Mm-hmm. I believe very firmly that there are times that you're going to take actions and you're going to react in a way that it's kind of the only way that I feel that I can get your attention. And I think that's what a lot of people in the Black Lives Matter movement is going through right now. Well, I need a way to get your attention. You know, truth be told, when all the dust settles, we're going to realize that you probably didn't change the minds of anyone who was racist before. That, in fact,
probably made them more racist.
Probably made them more racist.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think you change the opinion of people and those kind of things. And like I said before, what is important is moving forward. How do we as a people begin to look at one another and say, you know what? Yo, your life matter, my life matter. Mm-hmm. And I think that we need to validate one another, because if we work together, you know, I'm going to use this expression because, you know, again, I know you have audiences on different, but there's a reason why Haiti was successful in 1804 in getting their independence. And if you look at their emblem, it says "L'union fait la force," which means that with unity, when we put our heads together, that we are a force to be reckoned with, right? And so as a black people, we must realize that our lives matter, but we must first come together as a people and begin to pave that way. That it's not going to be some external force that's going to come in to say that, well, they're going to do this for us. It's going to start with us realizing that, you know what, hey, his life matter, that one's life matter, and we got to treat it as such, as a people.
All lives actually do matter at the end of the day.
All lives definitely matter. And I understand the concept of Black Lives Matter, because they're not necessarily saying that the lives of others don't matter.
That's why a lot of people get mad when a person be like, all lives matter. We're not saying all lives don't matter, but we are the lives that need attention right now, because we're the one getting senseless killings and stuff like that. So a lot of people get offended when somebody just be like, oh, all lives matter.
Listen, yeah, but you don't understand how our lives haven't been valued, and I think that's a part of it. Like, you know, regardless of, and I think for a lot of people, they look at it, well, it doesn't matter whether you're sitting as a millionaire, you're still another black guy, right? Meaning that the cops can rough you up and they can do whatever it is that they want to do you. Again, it goes back to representation. You think about, I look at a lot of these videos, and I'm just kind of thinking like, well, this community is made up of 30% black people. The mayor's white, the everyone basically, whether it's the mayor, the deputies, the sheriffs, and so on and so forth. So who's making the decisions about training, about policy that affects these black people, if they're the majority, right? Mm-hmm. So that means that if we don't have representation on all levels, and I'm talking about like real representation. I'm not talking about like, you know, to say, oh, we have a couple of black people who are part of the state legislature. No, real legislation, you know, real representation of people who have gone through some of our experiences.
Black president don't count?
Listen, I'm not going to go there personally, right? Because, again, even as a black president, I mean, there's only so much change that you can affect, right? So when you think about it, like, yes, symbolically, it's great. You know, it's great for, you know, a lot of black people to think that, you know, the highest office in the land, that it's attainable, that we can reach it. But really, change takes place at the local level, right? If you're at the president level, you think about your homeboys. You know, my wife and I went back to our neighborhood the other day, right? Most of the homeboys, most of the guys that I grew up with, if they're not dead, they're in prison. And that's a majority, right?
I'm young and I could say that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when you think about the guys who are in your neighborhoods, in your communities, and from the distance to the White House, we're talking about a lot that takes place, right? And so the people who should have the compassion for those guys, hey, man, these are guys that I grew up with. I'm no better than them. It's just that their experiences, unfortunately, led them down, you know, again, a place where they don't have the benefits that I have right now to say, but it doesn't mean that, you know, my life was any better. But the person who's equipped with that kind of compassion, who has that experience, is you, it's me. And so if we are not part of the ones who are affecting that change, then who's going to come on a local level to say, you know, hey man, I care about the one. I care about, you know, again, when you're governing and you're thinking about the everyone, but who's caring for the one, right? Who's caring for the one to say that, you know what, man, I'm going to talk to this dude that you could change your life, man. You know what, I was there and I was going down that path, but now, man, look, now I'm doing something a little more positive. So it starts with you and I, who are part of the community, to go out there and to be a voice, you know, again, whether it's mentoring or talking to somebody and doing something positive to affect change.
What about the people that don't feel, like people feel discouraged because, like say they feel like they ain't got the platform I got, they feel like they ain't got the platform these rappers got.
Well, how did you start?
Exactly.
See,
that's why I
thing.
feel like you could tell one person and that'll be powerful right there.
That's what it is, and I think that's a challenge that oftentimes people think that it has to be so grand, right? You have to have a microphone and that is so big that you can talk to like hundreds of thousands, but they forget.
Yeah.
When you started off with the one, right?
We're talking to like two people.
Two people, right? You talk a lot of these rappers, they were hustling on the street.
Yeah.
So, you know, we don't start at the top, but you don't think about that, hey man, I can have satisfaction in talking to that one. If I made a positive change in the life of one person, then I've done my part. And I can go on and feeling good about the fact that I was a part. I contributed to that person changing their life around. And I tell you, for me, I'm content with that. You know, I'd be satisfied at the end of the day if I've helped change the life of one person.
All right, for everybody who feel like you need to talk to 100 people just to get your word across, no, you can talk to one person and you did your part. You did what you had to do. And what we was just speaking on is, you know, the hires. We need to put more people in that position.
Absolutely.
But that also leads to the next question of me asking, do you feel like the people who are able to help are doing the most they honestly can? And to be honest, the hip hop culture, it's what's really taking over the world right now. You know, this is a hip hop channel. You know, the hip hop culture is what's really drawing the attentions of a lot of people. And you know, it's a lot of people that actually spoke out. I'm gonna actually read this out loud of some people who actually had something to say about the situation. Actually, two people. One of them was Meek Mill, and he said, after all these videos of cops beating us like slaves, we still don't have no protection. Nobody haven't issued a order for the police to stop killing us. Is that not possible? Or they just saying protect yourself, you know? But Meek Mill actually been doing a lot to help the culture. But I really want to know, do you feel like, you know, on a pastor standpoint, on a positive person standpoint, do you feel like he's doing the most he can? And also Ice Cube has something to say, and I'm pretty sure you very aware of who Ice Cube is. He said, how long will we go for blue on black crime before we strike back? And Ice Cube is basically promoting fighting back.
Correct.
You know?
And that probably was the position of, let's say, you had the likes of Martin Luther and then you had Malcolm X. Malcolm X's position was, hey, you know, we need to fight back. But here's the challenge, you know, again, in both scenarios. When you think about hip hop and what it has done, it's more of a movement, meaning that you have quite a bit of a voice, because the people who are consumers of hip hop music are not just black people, right? You have whites, you have blacks, you have, you know, again, different nations all over the world who listen to hip hop. But when we think about it, what is the overall message of hip hop, right? And I'm not talking about, well, you know, this one sings his song, that one has his songs. Like, you know, what is our overall message in a sense? Do we have a voice that says Black Lives Matter? I want you to think about, you know, me growing up, you know, I tuned into the likes of NWA, you know, I listened to the Chronic, you know, this is before all the things, and I had it all. Yeah. And when we think about how we picture, the picture that we give off a picture, hey, our girls ain't nothing more than you fill in the blank.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You, right, you get yours, I get mine, and so on and so forth. So when we think about from an image standpoint, well, if that's the message that we're passing on to, let's say, the next generation, then we got to really ask ourselves, are we part of the solution? Or are we part of the problem? Or not necessarily part of the problem, but are we fanning the flames in a sense, right? Are we fanning the flames? And I think that, you know, when Ice Cube goes on and says, well, you know, we need to strike back, but think about it. Here's the challenge. Many a time when we see, like I talked to you about that town, if in a town we have a majority of, let's say we have 40% black people, but the police force is made up of 80% white people. And that kind of, well, we need more representation. It's not like we need less cops. It just means that we need more brothers who are cops. Because people who are protecting us don't necessarily look like us proportionately.
But a lot of people make it make like young black folks not want to be cops. Like a lot of people have bad stuff to say, like,
But who's
"Oh, bro, you want to be a police, bro? Like, you want to be."
That's in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
But think about it. We've already stereotyped it from the very get-go.
Yeah.
But if we don't have that representation, I'm saying, listen, I got people who are, if your argument is this, that I have people who are supposed to be protecting me who don't look like me.
Yeah.
But then what do? Well, then maybe I need more people who look like me.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
right?
way.
Because I'd rather, if you think about it, if you in the streets, hey, I'd rather roll with my boys, people that I know, than roll with someone that I really don't know. Again, I'm not necessarily advocating, because for me as a Christian, there's neither black nor white and so on and so forth. But I'll give you again, but I'm a product of the street who came, from the hoods of, right there on 77th Street in Miami, right? So, truth be told, that our communities, we have to start looking and say, well, if I'm in a community where we make up 40% of that community, then I need to see that representation in the police force. I need to see it in management of some kind, in the city management, the state, so on and so forth. Because if I don't have that representation, then I don't have people who are supposedly, who have my best interests at heart. And if you don't have my best interests at heart, then, again, it's going to be hard for me to trust you, right? But like you said, what many people say, I have a lot of friends who are cops. So, I don't necessarily, I know that on both sides of the aisle, there are good cops and there are bad cops. And we're not talking about bad policing, because there's a lot of white cops who are great cops. And there are a lot of, you think about a lot of these movements, even whether it's the rioting, whether it's the protesting, trust me, I don't see just black people protesting. I see white people alongside them who are protesting the same. It's not everybody who have those lenses on of racism. There are people who are good people, who are white people. One of my best friends, Gain, is a white guy. But I've never viewed him as a color. When you're relating with someone, you don't necessarily view their color. You think about people who consume, like you say, hip-hop. You don't tell white people, hey, you know what, don't go out there and don't buy my CD.
A lot of them be white.
Don't support my videos, right?
Yeah.
I don't see Ice Cube saying that. I don't want white people to consume my stuff.
Yeah.
No, you're still getting your deals. You're still going out there and doing what's yours in order for you to, you done made it out. Now it's saying, well, how do I give back beyond? And I'm not talking about just money. I'm talking about how do I give back? What positive initiatives? When we think about all the wealth, you and I were talking about this the other day, all the wealth that we have, whether it was from the hip-hop culture, guys who have made it up, wealth that we have in general. But you think about how many black banks do we have? How many people in the neighborhoods? You go around, you find more Chinese stores, more people who are not part of the neighborhoods, who are the ones who are providing for things for people in the neighborhoods to consume. Well, there's a huge disparity there. Well, how are we to start changing the minds of the people who look like us to saying that, hey man, we can do some good positively by starting to just take advantage of what others have been taking advantage of all of this while. That's the institutional racism. You think about it. You think about how many black people go out there and actually support. If I were to do a survey, in all fairness, go through all the rioting and the protesting, and say, bro, how many black stores have you supported in the last year?
Black people scared to support black stores.
But then we're blaming white people for being racist, right? I mean, at that point, does that make you a racist?
No.
Right? So you think about it in that mindset. So we have to think about it for us, that there's a psychological or mental impact that we have to consider, that if I don't see myself, view myself as, hey, I'm important, that brother's important, I'm going to support his business because, not just because he's black, but he's giving something that's quality, right? Yeah. You think about your supporters, they're supporting you for a reason. They're saying, you know what, whatever he's doing, man, he's on the path that, I think that I can vibe with this dude, whatever it is, right? So I'm going to support him. But we need more of that in our communities. Yeah. We need people to support, again, the local bakeries, the local, whether it's a Lowe's as opposed to a Home Depot, like things that are black owned, like, we're taking our dollars.
Lowe's is black owned?
Again, I don't know that for sure. Somebody told me that, but I don't know that for sure, yeah. But we think about it, if you look at what Martin Luther King did, he said, listen, there's power in your money. So when they went about and they protested the buses because the blacks were sitting in the back, what did they do? The blacks started carpooling. They stopped paying the fares. And as a result of that, when anyone realized that, man, we're losing out on money. We need to do something to affect change, right? Whenever you do something that affects somebody's pockets,
Yeah.
you get a better response
You got my attention now.
than burning down a building.
Yeah.
Because you burn in a building, guess what? They build it back up. You're right there shopping at it again. So you didn't change anything at that point, right? Because a lot of these people, especially the big people, they have insurance. It's going to be billed right
Exactly. I
now.
was just
You're going to be
about
right back in that community. You're going to be right back there buying and being a patriot, being a consumer of those products. But when you think about taking those dollars down and supporting black-owned businesses, I think that's a start. Thinking that I can be a part of that change in my community, that we can start establishing things for ourselves. Whenever you had, black people who are coming together, putting their minds together, you have some kind of confusion that comes in the midst and things get scattered. Why? Because again, going back to that Haitian proverb, that unity is strength. That whenever you have a people whose minds are together, they can do a lot more united than they can divided. In fact, Jesus says that a kingdom that is divided, it cannot stand. And I think that because there is so much division amongst us, that we need to come together, have that unity, support one another, hit people where it really hurts, their dollars,
They pockets,
their
y'all.
pockets. Listen,
Sure.
when you hit someone in their pockets, you're going to get a pretty favorable response. Hey, we need to take care of this because guess what? We need your money.
Yeah.
Money has no color. The only thing people see is green, right?
Yeah.
So when we think about money not having color, then we need to start thinking about that our money has value. And if we start, really taking that approach that we're supporting one another, and hopefully what happens is this, that people that we support in our communities, that they're part of the community, that they're going to help to build the community. Whether it's educationally, they're building the community. But think about a lot of the people who you're supporting in the community. Whether it's, most of these people don't live in your community.
Yeah.
So you give them the money and they take the money out of the community. So the money is just being trafficked out of the community over and over again. It's trafficked out of the community. So you look at your parks, they look disgusting. You look at this, you're frustrated. There's garbage on the floor. And you think about it, well, what is there for me to hope on to say that I live and I'm part of this community when all I see is violence? I see is confusion, I see is destruction, is just filthy. There's nothing there. Well, guess what? If you're not supporting it, if we're not positive about it, and all we're doing is supporting things that look good to say that, this is a big business, we'll give them our monies, they take the monies, they go to their nice fancy neighborhoods where they have their yachts and so on and so forth. So we got to think about it ourselves for us, that there is value in our communities and that we can do a whole lot more if we begin to
Support each other.
Which really makes the statement Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. Now that's how you can prove Black Lives Matter. Do not go to running and breaking in these people's stores, stealing their stuff, then turn around, you got a shop right back over there. Go support your brother. Even though his store not the cleanest store you walked in, you might see a couple roaches in the corner. Stop acting like you ain't never seen no roach before.
But hopefully if you support him enough, that he'll be able to clean things up.
Yeah, support him enough, everything will get right, I definitely believe that because you could definitely get attention by hitting these people's pockets. I definitely agree with you on that one. I have nothing to say at all about that, But that leads us to the next question, and that is, could what's going on actually be more of a distraction to what's really at hand?
I think so. I think there are a lot of underlyings. You may get, listen, a lot of times people will throw you a token. They will give you some, hey, we'll give you something.
Because it seems like they letting this stuff happen, It seems like they're not doing nothing about it.
Let's be real. I mean, if you think about it, what history has told us. Remember, they were having marches and riots over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? That means not much has changed in 100 years.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're right back to the same things that you're frustrated and so on and so forth. And we're right back. We're having the same discussions. We're having the same debates. It's because, unfortunately, whatever happened after the dust settles, you got something out of it, and it looked like something that, in the moment, that, hey, we could work with this. But by the time you walked away, you realize, man,
we ain't do nothing.
You ain't getting nothing, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because guess what? 100 years ago, there were protests doing this. I remember back, in the 1990s, we were using books that were so outdated. We were using books from the 70s, in the 1990s, right? We were using books from the 80s. We were using outdated and things that were, we didn't have the best of technology. We didn't have access to information like others, our counterparts, whether it's our white counterparts, people who were more privileged and better neighborhoods had. And as a result of that, we find that, again, we're just frustrated. I'm going to pound the table. I'm going to keep hitting. I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to keep burning. But again, nothing has changed. But until we wake up to say that, you know what, we have value. We have value in our communities, and we need to create that value. We need to continue to build our brands to show the outside world that what we are trafficking, what we're building here, we're going to compete at the highest levels. We're going to compete on every level. Not just to say that, you know, all of our kids are going to be doctors, lawyers, and so on and so forth, but we're going to compete on every level. We're going to compete on trades. We're going to compete on every level because we're training men and women to be leaders that are not going to be placed in a box of fitting the description that someone has set for them, but we're setting the standards a little higher for them. A standard that you're not just going to reach just because you wake up and say that, you know what, I'm here today. No, it's a standard that, you know, we hold you accountable. We hold you accountable by saying that, you know what, you're going to be great. You know, I remember my coach back in the days, and there's I don't know if I remember it all well, but the way it goes is I am somebody. I'm responsible for my behavior, the results of my behavior when I become in life. And I think that was very important for me and for the rest of my brothers who were on the team, that we understood that the value that we individually, collectively, that we were somebody. And we were responsible for everything we did, but having had that instilled in us, it caused us to make better decisions about where we wanted to go in life. And I'll tell you, you know, a part of that decision that I made is that one day I said, you know what, man, I want to be different. I want to be different than what I see. Not necessarily, again, notice I said I want to be different, not that I want to be better than, because I don't believe I'm better than anyone else.
Exactly.
I believe that we all have our experiences, but I want to be different than what I've seen, you know. And I had for myself a gentleman who I respect and I hold to a high level of esteem till this day. And believe it or not, he was a homeless guy. He lived on the block, and we had a lot of guys who were homeless who lived on the block. But he would say to me all the time, little man, stay in school. And I used to ask myself, well, you know, you're a homeless guy. Why would you, you know, it just seemed counterproductive that he was saying that. Yeah. But I'll tell you, now looking back, it was more impactful that it was coming from him, because he had gone through his life experiences. He had his regrets, and he was frustrated with what was going on. And he had been, you know, gain a product of the system of, you know, gain that was in itself a vicious cycle that he had gone through in his life. And what he was saying to me, it was positive. You need to break the mold. You need to come out of the stereotype of what is expected of you. And you need to do better. And I tell you, every time I go back, you know, again, I had tried to find him many a time and I hadn't been able to. But I'll tell you, I'm thankful for that experience, because look, he wasn't someone who had a microphone. He wasn't at a church somewhere. He was not a millionaire. He was a homeless guy. But his message, it was positive. And it helped me to think in every decision that I was making, especially as it related to the streets. Because there were many times I had an opportunity to be a part of the street, whether it was to, you know, gain, to sell, or to do anything else. And I would remember him, say, little man, Gain, man, you don't want to get involved in none of this. You know, just go to school. You're a good kid, man. Keep doing what you're doing, right? And I think that was important. It was important for me. And I believe that if more guys heard what he had to say, that the outcome of their life would probably have been a little different as well.
If somebody's telling you something and you feel like, oh, he's not no superstar, he's not Black Gotti, he's not such and such, I ain't finna listen to him, you're wrong. Somebody homeless impacted him in the biggest way possible. And that was basically the best way to answer us being distracted. Yes, we are distracted because we face distractions every day. Goes back to what we were just saying about kids are scared to be police because of what we tell them. Like you the police, you know? You a snitch, you feel me? We make people scared to actually change what's going on. How we gonna change what's going on if we're not putting our young ones in the position to be actually the officers?
Yeah.
To be the judges, you know?
Absolutely.
To be the lawyers. We got fake lawyers, not even real lawyers. They working with them people.
Yeah.
We can't get no help because none of our people are there. And they not there because they can't be. They not there because they not smart. They're there because
I've been told.
Yeah, my big cousin told me I can't be no police, bro. You feel me? No.
Not around here, right?
Yeah.
It's not gonna fly. And I think
that's what I grew up on too. So everybody felt like, oh man, I don't want to be the police because that's what they crack on me for. That's what they tell me I can't be.
Exactly. And then here we are now saying Black Lives Matter. Well, think about it. It makes a difference. Now, if you're standing, and I'm not saying that, you know, again, you don't have disparities on both sides, but you think about it, if I have representation, at least I know I get a fair shake. That you have some black judges, who are there not
who actually are from the hood. Yeah, there are black judges, but I think they from Beverly.
But I mean, people who represent, and again, that's what I talked about. People who live in my community.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not, again, driving from, let's say, 2 hours away. No, you've been part of this community. You know what goes on in the community. That there's representation of our people. That, hey, man, I know what's going on, and I know, hey, man, I mean, I know what's going on over on this area, and I don't believe giving this guy 10 years for a dime bag is going to make the best or the most positive impact on his life, right? That if we're trying to have that change, we have to start thinking positively. Like, nah, man, you can be that judge.
Exactly. You could be that police, bro. Yeah, he a bad. You could be that police.
You be a good one, right?
You feel me? Me and my brother was just talking about that the other day too. It was like, the way we can actually fix the situation is by putting our black ones, or raising our black young children to not grow up with the narrative we grew up with, like, oh no, I can't be the police. Nah, you can. You could be what you want to be. You could be fit in where you think you fit in. Fit in, do what you could do that you believe you can make a change in that position, So that definitely touched that whole situation. That touched that whole first part. And I heard you mention Martin Luther King being spit on. Me, somebody spit on me, oh my, I am gonna karate chop you, I'm gonna elbow you dead in your chin, that is something I don't know if I could be able to hold that. Being spit on, I barely could take disrespect, lightly. Like, I'm a very firm believer on respect, and I also feel like you don't necessarily have to respect everybody, but that don't mean you have to disrespect them, because respect goes a long way. And since you spoke about Martin Luther King being able to take being spit on, and I haven't seen Martin Luther King be physical not one time. The most physical I ever seen Martin Luther King is with his voice. When he talks, it's like he's talking with so much anger and aggression, and I believe that's what made everybody mad. But I'm about to show you this video right now of the people who, I don't know how to word it, a lot of people feel like are the problem, right now. That's why Black Lives Matter is going on. That's why a lot of officers are shooting at black men, is because it's not because they really want to kill them. It's not because they really hate them. I sometimes feel it's because they're scared.
Well, a lot of people have been taught that you need to fear the black man.
Yeah,
right?
And I feel like that's why they're getting shot. It's because they're scared.
Listen, we talked about, like, very lightly, I know you're going to show the video, but, again, it's coming back even from the days of slavery.
Yeah.
If you paint the black man as being the boogeyman, right?
They did that before, though, right?
Of course. He's savage. Yeah. He's absolutely savage. And we don't realize that not only did white people believe it, but black people also believed it. Right? If you think about it, like, for example, I asked somebody the other day, like, let's say, for example, you have a black guy walking. Let's say you're walking down the street, and you have a black guy who's walking behind you. What's your reaction?
Oh, let me look back. That's crazy.
Right? It has nothing to do with white or black,
crazy.
Right? But in our minds,
that's crazy.
We have the perception that, man, he out to no good, right?
Yeah, what he got going on?
But we have been taught that, and we don't realize that it's more psychological. So part of that institutional type of racism that we talk about, we don't realize that many of us have bought into it the same way, that we view sometimes each other as savages, and we're very fearful, right? And so when you think about sometimes what is demonstrated, and this is what Martin Luther King did not want to demonstrate. He did not want to fight back because he did not want to fit the stereotype. He wanted his voice, his actions to speak for him. Because you're saying that I'm a savage and I'm a beast, but I'm showing you that I have more character than you do, that I'm a man of dignity. And everyone who was with him, you see that they exercise that same restraint, that same dignity, to saying that we're not going to take the bait, right? We're not going to take the bait because I'm not who you say that I am. I'm defining the narrative of who I am, not based on what you do. You're not going to get me to budge. You can spit on me, you can do this, you can do that. Listen, you had different people, at the time, and you had some who were more aggressive than others, but he understood that if I'm going to be the face of this movement, then I got to do something that, you know, inspire the people to not to take the bait. Because when you take the bait, then you gain here. Now people start feeling that they're justified. Hey, the moment that he starts struggling, I'm justified if I shoot him. I'm justified if I do this, if I did that. And sometimes, you know, again, you see that it happens over and over again. And I know that, yes, there are many black people who have been shot, even when they have done nothing. Again, it's been recorded, it's been logged over and over and over again. But like you said, that for many people coming into a situation, that a lot of time in their mind, hey, this is a savage that I'm dealing with. I'm not dealing with a human being. And as a country, if you think about it, you know, blacks were not recognized as even a human being up until probably more recently, if you think about it, right? And so this is something that we have to see, that we have to change even the perceptions of others, but we have to change our own perceptions as well.
But I'm gonna definitely let you see this video of how this black gentleman reacted when he was spit on. This is what everybody's so scared of right here.
Alright. So, what the f is the point of all of this protest if it don't work? I'm in the country right now and I'm delivering.
He crying like a little baby.
And I'm sitting at a stop and I'm waiting to get out. There's a lot of cars waiting. And as I'm getting the package out the back of the truck, some f***ing hick speeds around me, damn near hit me, called me and spit on me. Oh my god, dude. I want to bury somebody right now. Why? Why so much hate? Why so much hate? Why? Why? I don't even cry. Like, that's... Oh, my God. Almost hit me. Called me and then spit on me. Spit on me? Really? Wow. Just wow. Wow. Called me and spit on me and almost hit me. Wow. Why? Why so much hate? I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't understand. I got a white family. My dad's white. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Did he just say his dad white?
Yeah. He's mixed.
Boy, you is black, boy. That gotta be his what?
dad.
It's not his real dad. Probably, you know, he probably was adopted or something like that.
Nah, it probably his real dad.
I literally stopped right now. I'm not even
White
fucking
man
doing
can
anything
be
right now.
black,
I can't even think straight right now.
Of course.
This shit is horrible. I think it's a lot worse than a lot of people think. It's a lot worse.
I feel the same way.
Racism is live. And if any of you ever had to go through that firsthand, if any of you ever had to experience racism firsthand, I promise you, it's not. That's like, I'm usually really good with words. I don't, like, I really don't let that get to me. But when you almost hit me and spit on me and called me a nigger, what? This world is so fucked up. So I can't even work right now.
I feel bad for this dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's working for them.
I just had to share that with y'all. And I work for FedEx. I'm doing you guys a service, and that's what I get in return.
Big facts. I think we done seen enough of that.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's pretty deep when you think about it. It's what he said. He said, man, I feel like bodying somebody.
Yeah.
Because he's not giving his true reaction that he wants to give, because, again, he has to restrain himself. You know, part of it is taking the bait. I want you to think about, if we look at race relations, you know, in America, you have a people who have come in, and the concept of privilege. And I want you to be real. I want you to think about yourself and think about what you have. Everybody has it in their mind that they want to protect their stuff, right? For a lot of white people, especially those who are racist, they look at whether it's this country, what they have, their neighborhoods, and this is my stuff. And I got to protect my stuff from anyone who's coming in to try to take my stuff. Whether it's my status, whether it's my job, whether it's to take over my neighborhood, whether it's to take over our women, whatever it is. And part of protecting my stuff is letting you know that, guess what? You're inferior. You're less than. Mm-hmm. And I think about it, the most hurtful part is not necessarily, you know, again, part of it is being spat on, but it's what it insinuates, what it means.
Yeah.
Right? You're telling the person that you're less. Right?
You're
nothing, and you being spat on, right? But if I can denigrate you, if I can kill your character, I've defeated. Listen, psychologically, it does more damage than physically, right? Because if the guy, all he did was just hit his car or hit his van, say, whatever, you know, again, that guy was just a jerk. Yeah. You can move on from there. But when it gets you to more of the psychological, you realize, oh man, it's a little deep, right? Because here you are, you know, you're thinking about it, it's hitting your soul, kind of.
It just made me get the chills.
Right, it does. And when you think about it, and you're saying, man, it's deeper than we think. Of course it is, right? Because why do you think that people are retaliating right now? Those who are going to be racist, you think you're going to change their minds by a couple of protests and some riots? No, you're going to energize them to be worse. So here now you have somewhat of a civil war. You have a race war. That you're having whites on one side and blacks on one side, and they're going head against each other, because one is now saying that, you know, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being spat on. I'm tired of being, you know, as I've heard it, you know, in the news. I'm tired of your knees on my neck. I'm tired of it, and now I feel like I need to do something. But remember, doing something that is just physical don't garner. It doesn't give you the same result. It doesn't give you the results that you're looking for. Yeah. Because in the moment you may think that we're winning, but look at this gentleman. What he's saying is exactly. He says, "Are we really winning?" Because ultimately he says, you know, what's the point of all these riots? And all this is going on. It's not changing the minds of these people, right? So we're thinking of like, all right, we'll do some protests and say, okay, now you all of a sudden tomorrow you're going to treat me as if I'm your equal. No, that's not what's going to happen. We'll talk about it again through education. The more we get our people into these neighborhoods, the more we get them into the medical fields, the more we get them as judges, the more we get them as state representatives, the more we get them as presidents, and so on and so forth, the more our people advance, the more you're going to find that it becomes a thing of, oh, well, you know, again, hey, you have this project, well, we can call this dude, we can call this one, because guess what? We know what they can do. Yeah. They've had that opportunity. That door's been open for them, you know. And these are things that we have to really think about, you know, especially in our reactions. Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait, you know, again, because it even changes there. That's absolutely.
That's the bait.
Can you imagine now what would have happened if he chased that man down
and beat him up?
And beat him down. Who's going to prison?
You're gone, my boy.
Right?
You're gone.
And so don't take the bait, because the more they try to get you to take the bait, the more you will find yourself in a position of not really winning. But if you prove them wrong, you know, Bible says that even when you have wrong that is done to you, continue to do good. Because as you do good, by the good that you do, it's like
I recently just learned that.
Yeah? It's like, you know, again, heaping a hot coals on the head of
and those. I end up being in a better position when I, you know, keep doing good towards the bad. Absolutely. Like, at first, I'll fight back for the bad. Like, yeah.
You know, I learned this in marriage. You know, I learned in marriage something I tell you is very interesting because my wife is someone who she doesn't argue back at all. Have you ever?
That can get me kind of.
It'll get you going, right?
I'll be like, why you?
Like, why you ain't saying that?
Yeah. Right?
But think about it in the same way, because you asked about Martin Luther, you know, again, just touching that again.
Yeah.
Think about how angry it gets someone that they're trying to get a reaction from you, and they're just
And
not
they're
getting it.
it.
Right.
That man is happy. Whoever spit on him right there, he is.
You got
so
a reaction. You got a reaction. I got somebody to call themselves out of their name. I'll tell you, you know, again, one word that for me, I'm adamant of not using. And I used to use it all the time in the street, and I'm pretty adamant about it. And I'll tell you, sometimes you may have a slip up here and there, is the word nigga. And because no matter how many times you try to change the definition, you can say, "Oh, that's my homeboy."
I grew up on that word like it's nothing.
I mean, it's like drinking Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just say, "Yo, what's up?" You know, again, that's my nigga, that's my, you know, that's my dude, whatever it is. But you don't realize what it means didn't change, right? You imagine every time you call somebody that, you're not calling them your boy. You just say, "Man, you just ignorant." That's really all it is. And I believe that there's power in words. You know, the Word of God tells us that the words that we speak, that it has meaning, that it has power. And it almost creates, it defines people. So if let's say, for example, if I'm speaking words to you and they are positive, and I tell you, you know what, man, you're going to be great. And that's what I'm instilling in you, that you believe that you're going to be great. But if I'm just saying that, man, yo, you know, you just another nigga, man, you ain't going nowhere, whatever, then that's really your limitations. Unless something comes along that you say, no, that's not who I am, I'm not going to fit that description, then you're going to just be just another dude in the hood. And that's it. Nothing to talk about your life. There's nothing, you know, gain of meaning. There's nothing of hope, because that's what's defining you. I've allowed that word, I've allowed, you know, gain, the negativities in my environment define who I am. But we got to do better. You know, we got to do better as a people. Not to take the bait. You know, don't take the bait that, you know, we you know, gain, you can do better. You can have someone else do better. If they don't have, let's say, the understanding that you have, then hey, you know what, share with them. Share with them, you know, talk to them, inspire them to do better, to be greater.
So in all reality, man, ain't nobody gonna create the change for us. We have to create it for ourselves, guys. Gotta create it for ourselves. I actually do feel real bad for Buddy right here in this picture. And I did end up watching the end of this video. This man had boogers coming out of his nose and all type of extracurricular activity. I was like, oh, he is furious. For boogers to start for, that's like when you used to get a whooping when you was small.
You know, you
used to get booger nose.
And you want to just do something, right? But you realize that you're helpless.
Yeah,
you
man.
can't do anything about it.
I really appreciate having you here, man. And I also have last couple of questions just to get people to understand about, you know, pursuing God. Because a lot of people feel like they have to be perfect. A lot of people feel like, oh, it's too hard for me to do. And I already know that, and I'm pretty sure they know just by watching this video, like, you are one of the most coolest people to talk to. Like, if you're going through some situations, like, you probably don't understand, and he might not understand, but I guarantee you he is like one of those people you would actually want to speak with. For sure, for sure. And these questions I'm about to ask is basically about you and basically helping others who might want to be on a journey with me. These questions are valuable to me too. That's why I'm asking these questions. And pursuing God. And at first I was thinking, oh, that's hard to do, man. I gotta be perfect, you know? Until I started realizing, I'm like, man, I know God is real. I done been through so many situations that I end up being taken out of after a little prayer or something like that. And I just feel like, you know, the Most High is definitely on my side. So it's less than me trying to pursue it. It's like he just been calling me like, yo, man, you feel me? Get right. It's something, you know? It's just something in me. So I definitely want to ask these questions. And the first question I'm going to start with is there any right way to be a Christian?
You know, I get that question a lot. You know, I don't believe there's a right or wrong way. But what I do believe that it is about an experience. You know, you talk about, you know, do you have to get yourself right first? And there are many people who think that I got to get my life right and then become a Christian, right? But it's like, if I'm a sick person and I go to the hospital, do I wait outside of the hospital to get healed and then go in and get checked in? Right? Right? Because that's ultimately what you're endeavoring to do.
Yeah.
See, we come to Christ because we're looking for help.
Yeah.
And Bible tells us that He is a helper. And so it's very important, again, for anyone who is, searching, you make up your mind that, you know what, man, there's a reason why I feel this tug, I feel this pull, because maybe there's an emptiness, and I feel like something is missing. And part of what's missing in each and every one of our lives, and for some people they try to fill it with so many different things, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drinking, whether it's women, and you're searching for something, but you don't really know what that thing is. And for many who come to an understanding of who Jesus is, you realize that it's more about an experience and less about who I say, right? Because I can say I'm a Christian, but it doesn't necessarily do anything for me at the end of the day. I'm still empty, I'm still this, and I'm still that. So it goes beyond just what I say with words and more about accepting the help, right? Yeah. It's not about getting to that hospital and wait to get healed and then go get help, but it's accepting God's help. Yeah. And when we accept His help, we realize that He does the heavy lifting. The Word of God says, "Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And it's important that we embrace and we take that.
Let them know that chapter right there, man.
Huh?
Let them know that chapter right
there.
there.
Well, listen, if you go, I got to get the exact scripture. I'll get it to you. I'm quoting it, but again, I'll have it. We'll have it in a link.
Yeah, we'll put it
so I can have it exact for you.
Yeah.
But when we think about it, our life has to be such that it's not, let's say, just about quoting scripture, but it's about how you live it. And I can tell you that, for me, I live by what, again, I preach by what I say. I truly believe that I can't do it on my own, and I need the help of God in everything that I do. And it is His help that allows me to say that, I'm going to move forward, that, I've accepted it. I realize that I'm not a perfect being, but each and every day that I trust God in the process, and I trust Him in the help that He's providing me each and every day to move towards the better me each and every day.
For sure, for sure. It's not hard to be a Christian, guys. It's not hard. Second question is, should any pastor be on a higher pedestal than the average man?
Absolutely not. We have...
Because I see a lot of people praise pastors to the max.
A lot of people do, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. If you think about it, it's a lot of things that even we took out of slavery. And, I'll share this, with the viewers, but if you think about it, after slavery had ended, for many people, they didn't even know what freedom meant. Most people had not really seen too many people in a position that they aspired for something greater. But the church was always a place that instilled hope in a lot of people. And for many people, the pastor was a representation of that hope. And so a lot of people idolized the pastor. They wanted the pastor to resemble what success looks like. Yeah. Because if my pastor can look like this, if he can have this, then I have it in store that it's possible that I can have these things as well, that I can, reach a certain level of success. But what happened over the years, unfortunately, is that you have many pastors who begin to live more like rock stars, right? And it became less about a symbol of hope, of, again, just giving people something to look to. Bible tells us, in fact, again, God is our hope. But however, physically speaking, there are many people who are looking to hope on someone that they can see, physically speaking. I don't believe that, pastor is any different. In fact, Jesus, who came to serve and not to be served, Bible says that's, again, all He was doing was not putting Himself on a pedestal, but He was washing the feet of His disciples. And He was laboring, again, for those who were the least. And, again, not for those who had, and He was not looking out for Himself. In fact, Jesus, again, He tells His disciples that, the birds of the air, they have for themselves nests, the fox have holes, but the Son of Man, He has nowhere to lay His head, and that He's here to serve others. And it's important that pastors understand that concept, and people understand that concept as well, that those who are called to be the greatest in the kingdom of God, that they must serve as the least. They're there to serve the people. right? And, again, I could ask you that question as well, that, when you think about your politicians, why do you have this and why you have this, why you have the next thing? When I elected you to serve me. So it's the same concept. For the people of God, for those who are in a position of authority, of leadership, it is our responsibility to serve the people. To serve the people, to serve their needs, to pray for them, and not only to pray for them, but to set that example. And again, to be, again, pillars of hope, especially in our communities, especially in times like this, that we're there to be a voice of peace, a voice of change, because as you see, whether it was Martin Luther King, that a lot of change came about as a result of the church. But I think that there's a lot of, again, over the years, that a lot has changed, unfortunately. But we've had some who have looked more in their own interest. I'm not talking like, I would never put a blanket as to this is all pastors, again, that are like this, that are being idolized and things of that nature. But I do believe that as a church that we do have to have some soul searching as to what does it mean to be a servant of God. It's not just about having, again, the beautiful robes and all of these things, and right, but it's about being in service to the people.
I have 2 more questions for you, and I'm going to ask this question. What's your biggest joy within ministry?
My biggest joy within ministry. I'll tell you, my biggest joy within ministry is that, I have a loving wife who is by my side, and I have children who all fear the Lord and who are, that I wake up every day and I'm thankful to God for the privilege of being husband and of being father. Because before I can be anything to anyone else, I got to take care of home first. And having that privilege, I say it's probably my greatest joy. It keeps me going, and I just thank God that in all of the years that that's what I call a reward, and I'm very thankful for that blessing.
Amen. And the last question I'm gonna leave all of you guys with. And this is a question I definitely need to know as well, because this is the most powerful part about, pursuing God. Mm-hmm. And it's, what's your secret to being consistent in Bible reading and prayer?
Oh man, that's a hard question, but very simple. It's hard because when you're starting off, you realize that you think, when you see everyone else doing things, whether they're praying, they're reading Bible, like, man, I don't know if I could ever do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could ever, right?
And sad to say, sometimes it's like, man, it's just kind of boring a little bit, It can get a little boring.
Right? It depends on, what you're looking at. But here's what it is. I think a lot of times, we approach the Bible as if the most important part of it is the reading and less about the relationship. I want you to take this. Moses, who wrote part of the Bible, he never had a Bible to read. Abraham did not have a Bible. Noah did not have a Bible because the Bible wasn't written yet, right? But they had a relationship with God. And the reason why I say relationship is important, because my journey with God started first with relationship. When we got the relationship going, then I realized that the reading and all of that, again, it really fell into place because the relationship was in place. So whenever you build a relationship with anyone, you realize that you are more inclined, whether it's to please that person, and again, I'm talking about from a physical standpoint, because of the relationship you've built with that person. Meaning that, I don't want to disappoint. So you think about some of the things you do, whether it's for your child, whether it's for your girl, things of that nature. You say, man, I don't want to not please this person, so I'm going to keep doing it, right? Even though at times it may seem a little tedious, at times it may not be, again, what I want to do in the moment because I'm really tired, but I'm going to do it because I love this person and I don't want to disappoint them. I want you to think about it, again, from the standpoint of your relationship with God. Right, when I first started on my journey, and I remember going through something, I had no idea what to pray. And my first prayer was like, what, God, man, I don't really know what to say. And that's where I started, so many years ago, said, God, I don't really know what to say, but man, I'm going to try this prayer thing. Yeah. And I kept it, very real with God. And then remember what I said to you, it's about accepting the help of God. And I said, God, man, this reading thing is not easy for me. I'm having a hard time. I don't know what to pray. I don't know what to do. I don't even know if I'm being a Christian the right way, because I don't sound like this brother, the way he prays. I don't read the Bible the way everybody does, and I'm just kind of going, and I don't really know for sure every single thing that I am saying that if it's the right thing I'm supposed to say, you know, again, sometimes I've come to realize that, you know, when I have a relationship with God, that it's not about what everyone else is seeing.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to validate myself based on what other people are doing, that I realize it's unique to me. It's personal. It's between me and God. And the more that I've done that over the years, I've realized that, you know, I've become more passionate about reading scripture because I want to study just so I can know more about, you know, again, I realize that the more that I know about the Word of God, the more it's helped me to be a better person, the more it's helped me to be at peace, the more it's given me hope. And that hope I've been able to pass on to so many different people, you know, again, throughout the course of their walks with God and things of that nature. So I think it starts first with relationship. Get the relationship right. You know, once you get that relationship and you ask God. See, there are many people who have a hard time with the Christian walk because they never ask. Say, you know what? If you don't realize that you need help in something, then you're never going to ask for help. But when you say, you know what, God, I need your help. I need you to come and be my guide and you to help me because I'm having difficulty in praying, my prayer life and reading the Bible and so on and so forth. You're going to find that the Spirit of God will come and He will help you in your journey and He will not leave you nor forsake you according to the Word of God.
Amen. According to the Word of God, He definitely did say that. That's about it, you know. That's all I had to show you guys today. That's all I had to talk about today. And I'm very thankful to have been here to, you know, express how he feels about all of these situations we just watched today. And if there's any way you want them to check you out at, Ben, you can tell them right now. I would definitely have it in the link below too, so look down there.
Well, listen, you know, that scripture that I was talking about before, it's Matthew 11:28. I didn't want to give the wrong scripture. I was thinking Matthew 28:11, but I knew that was wrong. But Matthew 11:28, you know, where the Lord says, come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. If you want to get in contact with me, you can reach out to us at 347-356-9406, or you can connect with us on our website at hopecenternyc.com. And I look forward to speaking to anyone, you know, again, especially if you're on this journey and you want us to partner with you, well, we look forward to it. I know that you will not be disappointed. Your faith in God will not disappoint you. In Jesus' name.
Definitely, because I would definitely be tuned in. So if you're going to be tuned in with me, hit them links in the description. And that's about it. I was going to end with a little prayer, but it looks like the battery is about gone. But we still going to do it anyway.
It's all right.
You feel me?
Well, listen. Well, Father, we just thank you for this time, for this opportunity. And I pray for everyone, Lord, whatever they're going through right now, Jesus. I pray that you will touch their hearts and that you will give them the grace to make the better version of themselves each and every day. Draw them near to you, Lord. For your word tells us that as we draw near to you, that you will draw nigh also unto us. Help us in our infirmities, strengthen us, empower us, God. And I know, Father, with you, that all things will be beautiful in your time. We bless your holy name, and I thank you for a transformation that is taking place right now for your glory. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Peace.
I truly understand what people may say. They believe to